And a nonprofit, local nonprofit, invited us to come in to work with them to try to make life better for these people. And I had a new intern with me, and he was brand new from the United States, and he's back 3 days on the field. And I said, well, you want to travel with me into the interior? And he says, well, yeah, I'd like to do that. I said, you have one job. And he said, what's that? I said, watch and pray. That's your only job. I don't care what happens, your job is to watch and pray. I don't care how bad it gets or how good it is, your job is to watch and pray. Well, we got to this village, and they had this big feast for us, and it was a feast praising another god. And this was supposedly a Christian organization that we were working with. And so I looked at him, I said, are you praying yet? He goes, I don't understand. I said, well, I do understand. I'm telling you, they're worshiping another god for what we're doing here. And he goes, really? And so we get finished with that and get through this 4 hours of presentation about how wonderful their God was. And then they invited us up to the boardroom of this nonprofit. And I'm watching, and I tell you, the skin on my back was already starting to crawl. I said, this is not good. We're in trouble. And I've got an 18-year-old intern with me from the States. And I look at him, I said, I'm going to tell you what to do. Something's going to happen in this room. I don't know what it is. Said, but your job is to go to that corner, put your back in it, and look out and pray. He says, what do I pray? I said, you'll know when it happens. He goes, what's going to happen? I said, I don't know yet, but something's going to happen. We're about 10 minutes into the meeting, and the 8 directors of the meeting came screaming and yelling out of their chairs and jumped on me and started to beat the crap out of me. and then all of a sudden they weren't there. And I look around this kid, and his eyes were as big as saucers, and he goes, I prayed. I said, what happened? He said, there was a big flash of light, and they were all laying on the ground dead. And I said, okay. He says, what are we going to do? I said, we're not leaving yet. And he says, but won't the people get upset? I said, yeah, if they walk in now, they're going to be pretty upset. I said, but we're not done here. And I just sat down and said, God, as you bring these people back to consciousness, give them a spirit to receive what I have to say to them. And for the rest of the night, one by one they wake up, and one by one they came to Christ. 8 of them over that night. Took us the whole night. The village was all standing out there waiting on the front, and these guys were weeping and apologizing for what they'd said and what they'd done, and they had an encounter with the real God while they were out cold. They had an encounter with the real God. That's their words, not mine. And that when they woke up, I was telling them what happened to them. And we walk out, and these 8 men line up and say, we're here to tell you that these men are not like any men we've ever met. And they brought truth to us. And we want to share. We want to share. They didn't ask me to share. We want to share with you the truth that we've learned tonight. And that